When it comes to the NFL, there are teams that always surprise you, and there are also teams that let you down when it comes to making the playoffs. Last year, we kind of saw it with an example, the Houston Texans. Nobody expected them to make the playoffs last year whatsoever, and not only did they make the playoffs, but they actually won a game. And not only did they win, but they absolutely delivered the belt to these boys. This is a team that was projected and looked at as one of the worst teams in the NFL. They had like the best chance to win the #1 overall pick. It was either that or they were the second. And everybody completely looked them off. And then this guy named CJ Stroud came in here, willed this team to the playoffs, and took a game. Like, that is insane. There's just story tales everywhere. The NFL is unpredictable, and that is what we love about it. And in today's video, we're going to be going over some of the teams that I think have the chance to be the Houston Texans of last year, and some of them have better odds than the others, but some of these teams you're gonna look at and you're gonna be kind of amazed. Or maybe you're fully bought into all of them. We're about to find out, but let's dive into the first team right now, and I'm gonna say it is going to be the Chicago Bears. Now, call me crazy, but for some reason, this defense turned up. As soon as they traded for Montez Sweat last year, I believe they were a top 5 statistical defense as soon as they traded for him. And I think this defense is full of studs everywhere, and the only kind of key loss is Eddie Jackson. He just signed with the Ravens a couple days ago, but I don't think you guys are going to miss him too much. I feel like he was a great safety for his time, but it was kind of just time to move on. Pair the elite defense with the fact that they just drafted Caleb Williams, and then on top of that, they got more weapons than they've ever had or surrounded Justin Fields with. Don't really believe in Justin Fields as a quarterback. I think this will be an upgrade in the long term, but they just got Keenan Allen, one of the best route runners in the league. The only knock on his game ever is staying on the field. If he stays on the field, he is literally a top 10 receiver, top 12 receiver easily, and as soon as it comes to separation, you're talking about one of the most elite receivers we have seen. You got him DeAndre Swift in the backfield, a better running back than they've had since David Montgomery, and then you also got Rome Odunze in the draft. So there's weapons everywhere on this team, and I can't even leave out DJ Moore. So there's a lot of upside, and if you're looking at this team and you want to bet on probably someone who's not looked at as a favorite, I would go ahead and look at the Chicago Bears. If Caleb Williams is performing pretty well and is just solid at a game manager level for the first couple weeks and finally gets that rhythm, I think we're looking at a 9 to 10 win team pretty easily, and I think the Chicago Bears are the first team that can make the playoffs. Now let's go ahead and move this to the AFC, where we're going to dive into the Indianapolis Colts. Last year, they lost Anthony Richardson, who was deemed their franchise quarterback, or at least their star quarterback, very early on as he underwent season-ending shoulder surgery. In his stint for 4 games, he had 50 of 84 completion and 577 yards, and there was upside. Kind of puts his body on the line a little too much for your liking. If you're a Colts fan, you kind of got PTSD because you don't want another quarterback going down like Andrew Luck. Obviously, 2 different situations because the line was never built for Andrew Luck, but you want Anthony Richardson to kind of protect himself. Potential's there. He is a dual threat quarterback, and I see it. I see the potential there. And the good thing about the Colts is they maintained and re-signed all of their weapons. Michael Pittman is back. Jonathan Taylor is back. Like, you got your guys back. The defense is really solid. I think the highlight of your team on defense is your defensive line, but I think you guys are going to get something done, and this could be a 9-win team if Anthony Richardson stays healthy. That is going to be the only knock I have on this, but if he does, you guys have the weapons and the defense to do it, and I think you guys are a really solid football team. You're just banking on health at this point. If Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, and Anthony Richardson are playing for the majority of the season, 14, 15 games, I think you guys are going to have a great season and surprise a lot of people. Now let's go ahead and flip this back to the NFC, where we're going to talk about another team that I think could be very solid, and that is the New Orleans Saints. This team is kind of interesting because I do like your offense. Derek Carr, I'm not the biggest believer on, but I think he could win you some games or kind of manage it enough. He's not a quarterback, especially at this point in his career, that I think is going to will you to wins, but he could play really solid. He can do just enough, kind of like Jimmy Garoppolo for the Niners. You guys got weapons. Like, Kamara still exists. He is a very solid player. He was suspended a couple years ago. It might have been last year. I don't know why my mind is tripping, but Kamara has been off and on the field, and then the same time, Michael Thomas, who is no longer with you, like, thank the Lord. If you're a Saints fan, you are probably so ecstatic for this. When he was playing back in like 2019, he was elite, but ever since then, I can't remember the last time the guy has played like 8 straight games. It's always an injury with him. He was elite at one point, but it was time to move on.
Bye, Felicia.
Now you guys have Chris Olave, who I am a big fan of. I think Chris Olave is amazing. I think you guys just continue to build this thing, and the defense is also full of studs as well. You have Tyrann Mathieu and Demario Davis, who are still playing elite level football. You guys have kind of fallen under the radar and are very underrated. I don't think anyone's looking at the Saints to even win the division just because Tampa did last year. I don't really believe in Tampa going back to back. Like, that might just be me. I know the Falcons went and got Kirk Cousins, kind of made some big acquisitions, but like, I'm just not believing in that division. And then Carolina's just Carolina. Like, if Carolina shocks the world, so be it. No one is expecting them to win. I think the Saints actually win the division this year. It might be close with the Falcons and the Bucks, but I think the Saints come out on top and take it. Derek Carr is kind of the piece that I have a big question mark on. I'm not really a believer, but I think he is good enough to at least get you guys to 9 wins. 9 wins in this division is very possible. The NFC South is just not great. This is probably my most confident pick of the video, I'm not gonna lie, and they are kind of underrated and not even expected to make the playoffs at all. They also have people that just completely slipped from my mind. They have Marshawn Lattimore and Cam Jordan, who's the heart and soul of that team. Like, I'm pretty confident this team is going to be very solid, so keep your eye out for them, and we're gonna keep it in the NFC, and this one's biased, I know, but we're gonna go with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not gonna speak too much on them. I'm gonna go very key points, but this is Kyler Murray's second season under this new regime. He was playing in a completely new system. He was literally playing under center for the first time in his career, and he looked pretty solid. He had 14 total touchdowns and 5 interceptions. 10 of those were passing, but Monty Austinfort, who's the GM, completely gutted this roster and completely shifted the culture of this team. Cliff Kingsbury's no longer running the show, and you've just seen the culture shift. The Cardinals aren't the same air raid pretty boy football, playing a lot more smash mouth, and this is a season where I think the Cardinals could legitimately make some noise in an NFC that could honestly be kind of weak. You have the top loaded teams like the Philadelphia Eagles. You have the team like the Detroit Lions or the Packers or the 49ers. So if the Cardinals sneak in here at like a 7 seed or like a 6 seed, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. And I know there's some bias here, but the Cardinals also raised the floor on every position in the offseason. Our secondary was abysmal. We couldn't stop the run. We went out and signed some nose tackles. The playoffs are definitely possible, and they also finally got a true #1 receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. But a lot of things are going to have to go right, and this NFC is probably going to have to sneak it up for the Cardinals to sniff the playoffs. But if 9 wins get cracked, don't be surprised. I'm warning y'all now. I talk about the Cardinals enough, so let's go ahead and shift it to the final team of the video, and that is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in his career, so why would he do that now? The roster has a lot of talent. They just got Russell Wilson, who I think Mike Tomlin can unlock, and I don't think he was really the problem in Denver. I just don't think Sean Payton wanted him as his quarterback, so there was a lot of just butting heads there. They got him on a minimum, and he's a very decent quarterback. He's still top 18 in the league as it stands right now. I know top 18 is not crazy, but I'm just not looking at the roster right now. I'm not looking at all the quarterbacks. This is just off the top of my head. He is top 18. Pair that with the run game with Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, who I think are both going to have great years. Those are both starting running backs right there. Najee Harris honestly doesn't get the love that he deserves. That line in Pittsburgh has been atrocious since he's gotten there, and he's always been consistent. And you pair that alongside the receivers with George Pickens, who they are hoping takes a massive leap this year. He's shown flashes, has been pretty crazy. He's had some insane catches throughout the years because they did ship off Deontay Johnson to Carolina. They need some production there, and the Steelers are always good at finding receivers. For whatever reason, they are kind of like the Patriots with DBs. They're able to get their guys in the best position possible and make them look great, so I'm not really worried about their receiving core, and then their defense is always solid as well. Minkah Fitzpatrick is one of my favorite ball players in the entire league. Dude just flies around. Like, the Steelers, they're kind of underrated, which is understandable, but Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. I think giving him a competent quarterback right now with Russell Wilson is going to do a lot for him. It's going to take a lot of pressure off. And the funny thing is, like, I have seen Mike Tomlin bring the Steelers team with Mason Rudolph behind center to the playoffs, or at least a positive record. You know, the guy who got smacked in the face with a helmet by Myles Garrett, that guy, the guy nobody liked, not even Steelers fans. They had a positive record with that guy. So I'm not really worried about him. I think 9 to 10 wins, again, is very possible, and do not be surprised if that does end up happening. That is going to wrap up today's video. Those are going to be my 5 teams that I am rocking with. That is 3 from the NFC, 2 from the AFC. Let me know down in the comment section below if I miss any team. Is there any team I need to keep my eye out for, or do you guys agree with my predictions? I'd love for you guys to drop 5 teams down in the comment section below that you think are going to make the playoffs, because the NFL, again, is very unpredictable. So maybe you guys nail it down in the comments. We will find find out soon. But I appreciate you guys if you did make it to the end of the video. If you did enjoy, consider hitting that subscribe button. I post Arizona Cardinals and NFL content like this. If you're a fan of it or you enjoyed today's video, consider hitting that subscribe button. But with that being said, that is pretty much going to wrap up today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. It's been your boy Mythic. Peace out.